any sneeze. Oh, that's a way to start. All right. Hey guys, welcome to the Sticky Note Hour. For those of you who are new here or just forgot, I guess, because we haven't posted in a long time, this is an ArtTube channel my fiance and I share together. I'm Elliot and they're Ozzy. Sometimes we do videos together, sometimes it's just one of us. Today is just me. You may have also noticed that this looks a little different than previous videos. I've drawn up a spiffy little border and I'm going to start making efforts in general to conduct things a little more professionally than just slapping my screen onto your screen. Anyway, sorry for the long intro, let's just get into what you came here for, which is my pain. So I'm gonna kind of just go in chronological order to keep things nice and neat, and the first story technically left the biggest scar if we're going off a surface area, so let's start off with a bang. Also, obviously, disclaimer, I will be talking about things that can make you squeamish, to put it delicately, so feel free to skip, and because some of you might be apprehensive, I'll ensure you now that every injury talked about here will be non-purposeful, and to my knowledge, should not be triggering to those struggling with non-accidental harm. YouTube algorithm, gotta love it. Alright, there's only one that may blur that line, and I'll put a disclaimer on screen when it appears, but nothing of that sort, if you catch my drift. Alright, wait, hold on, this is a second disclaimer real quick. After finishing the script, I noticed the description in the third story might get a little, specific, so just watch out for that. It's a little bit gruesome. I got a little carried away with the details. Alright, now, when I was little, I was pretty physically excitable and easily bored, so most of the time I found ways to entertain myself, but sometimes I'd just waffle around waiting till I thought of something to do, or my mom finished grading her papers and played with me. I don't know. One of the main things I do to get out pent-up energy was to just climb things. My nickname growing up was actually Spider Monkey. So I want to say I was around 3 or 4 when I was messing around in the back of our very old and worn-out couch. It was this big blue couch that was really squishy and didn't have much support anymore. I am a very short person, so when I was that age, I could dangle by my fingers off the back of the couch and my feet wouldn't touch the floor. So when I was ready to get down, I dropped off the back of it, kind of like Coraline randomly hanging off that door when she was entering a room. Does anybody remember that scene? That's really creative, I like that. Anyway, my shirt snagged on something and suddenly I just felt this long, stinging pain. I lifted my shirt and I saw that somehow the couch had ripped the longest cut I had ever seen in my little kid life from my stomach to the top of my chest. I screamed and my mom came running in, kind of just laid me down on a bed and put some of that alcohol stuff on it. It was clearly not deep enough for stitches, so I don't know if she just put 20 band-aids on it, but I kind of hope so because that would be really funny. It turns out some metal part of the couch had come loose and was sticking out right behind the fabric where she couldn't see it, so I wasn't allowed to climb on it anymore. And now I have a faint scar running all the way up my chest. Fun fact, I actually didn't notice it until recently. When I did, the memory of being attacked by our evil blue couch all came flooding back. Okay, now the next one is the one I was talking about regarding the technically non-accident injury stuff. I didn't intend to hurt myself, but I did still, on a pedantic level, do it to myself, so just warning for that. So I was in the 2nd grade when this happened. I spent my middle childhood back in Georgia, which back then had a pretty decent range of weather. So we had indoor recess a fair amount in the winter because of rain or extreme temperature, all that jazz. My friend and I started playing giant checkers. Y'all remember those? It was like this woven cloth instead of a board and you played on the floor. Anyway, that got boring fast because we were 7, so we moved on to pressing the pieces to our skin and giving ourselves tattoos to show off. Obviously, they didn't stick, so it was more just a contest to see who can make a mark that would last the longest. And at some point, I figured out that I had found a genius way to apply the maximum amount of pressure. So I was like, watch this, and put a singular checker on the floor. I then proceeded to line my knee up with it, and then slam it down as hard as I possibly could. It didn't even hurt that bad, just kind of stung, so I thought, oh, I probably broke a bit of skin, I should just check on it. And then when I rolled my pant leg up, my knee was dripping with blood. I'm pretty sure my friend said the second grade equivalent to holy shit, and the teacher let me go to the bathroom and get some paper towels. I still have a faint oblong scar from where I somehow embedded a piece of plastic into my leg through my pants, so needless to say, I objectively won. Now, I saved the most serious but least silly one for almost last, and don't worry, when I say serious, it's not like that bad. So about 6-ish months ago, I know, big jump, I don't know, it was recently, I crashed my car. It was completely my fault. I'm the one who goofed. The way my partner and I navigated was by using this weird apparatus that clipped our phones to the air vent on the dash. The problem though is that the vent panels were mostly broken off and we had to adjust it quite often. So while doing that, I wasn't paying attention for long enough and rear-ended someone. So, fun fact about airbags, they shoot out so fast that they actually generate a lot of heat. They don't just hurt like a bitch because they're basically sucker punching you in the ribs, but because you're also going to get the nastiest rubber burn you've had in your life. So, I got a gross burn on my thumb where I was holding the steering wheel, and my partner, unfortunately, was worse off. They're fine now, but because of the angle they were at, they ended up fracturing their shoulder and had to wear a sling for a couple of weeks. Ozzy, if you're listening to this, once again, I'm very sorry. After we crashed, our car was totaled, so we had to sit at the side of the road while my parents helped us figure out how to get the car out of traffic. People had to swerve around us. There was a fire truck. It was leaking liquid into the street. It was kind of embarrassing. While I was on the phone, the guy I rear-ended kept going up to my partner who was injured, sobbing, and not the damn driver, and shouting at them for being irresponsible, going on and on about how he just got that car, just being an overall massive dick for no reason. The cop who showed up actually had to order him to go away because we had already exchanged insurance contacts and he would not stop harassing us for literally no fucking reason. Okay, so at this point I was aware that my hand was stinging really badly and I was periodically pouring water on it. But what was funny about this was that before we got to immediate care, most of the authority figures who took a look at me thought it was way worse. At some point, the fire department showed up because the car immediately started leaking and smelled like a smoothie of fumes and gases, so one of them gave us a quick once-over. They looked at my thumb, and there was this patch of stinging skin that was just speckled black. I don't know how to describe it. It just looked dirty. I was so confused why he kept asking if I wanted an ambulance. He was like, "Are you sure? You sure you don't want to go to the hospital?" And I'm like, "No, I'm fine." And at the time, my partner was in shock and using his arm, so that factor didn't occur to us either. I correctly identified the gross, grimy burn as just soot from the airbag. Yeah, turns out that's not normal. The immediate care doctor was like, yeah, I don't know why you have a weird, dirty airbag, but we need to clean this thing now. So that was a weird little detail. Anyway, everything was healing fine, formed a gross, fluidy blister, standard burn fare. But the thing is, no one told me what it's supposed to look like afterwards, if you know what I mean. So, here, this needs some context. The dressings were super annoying. I literally had to put this goo on it 3 times a day, put a non-stick pad over it, then wrap it in gauze. Loose, breathable gauze. Fun fact, I'm autistic. One of my main sensory issues is things on my body that feel like they're gonna fall off or just not firmly secured. I'm not a loose clothing kind of autistic, if you know what I mean. I don't know, it's oddly specific, but someone has to get it. So that didn't last long. Don't do this at home, kids, but I wrapped that sucker as tight as I could get away with without popping it like a balloon. Anyway, so because I did that, the excess skin kind of fused together in weird places, and for a while I had this really gnarly, leathery patch of skin, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is it. I just look like this now. And eventually I finally figured out that it was just the extra dead layers of skin left over from when my blister did its thing and went down. So I just kind of peeled it off little by little, and that was really satisfying, I'm not gonna lie. Do not start peeling your weird leathery skin and saying that I told you to do it on the internet. I did my own research, and you should too. Better yet, just go back to immediate care if you're not sure. I also could not figure out for the life of me if it was a first or second degree burn, so that was fun. It was just the perfect 1.5 degrees, if that makes literally any sense. Just literally the exact midpoint in terms of symptoms. Also, when I ran out of gauze, I used Band-Aids, and then when I ran out of those, I used Scotch tape. So yep, that's the gist of it. Okay, I know I've been going in order of age, and I was kind of only including things that left a permanent mark, but I remember this one incident from when I was around 4 that was just too fucking funny to leave out. I know you guys can't see me, so just trust me on this. I am a small person, like tiny. I'm 5 foot tall, and there's nothing wrong with me, never struggled with my eating, but I am very thin. Always have been. When I was in preschool, we were having recess outside, and it was very windy. And I don't even remember what I was doing, just standing around like a dumbass, I guess. And I remember all of a sudden, it was getting genuinely hard to stay steady. Like, I kept swaying around and having to take little steps to stay balanced. Then all of a sudden, a big gust of wind surged, and I tipped over flat and bonked my head. Like, imagine a little wooden peg doll just falling over. Apparently, this happened directly in front of my teachers because they all saw the whole thing and came over immediately as I was turtling on the sidewalk and crying. I don't blame them at all, but they were laughing their asses off. These women had to, no joke, fill out an incident report. A fucking incident report, and write for the cause of injury. Elliot was blown over by the wind. And we're done. Those were the dumb ways I've managed to injure myself despite having anxiety and hating being outside. This has been the Sticky Note Hour. Hope you all had a good time. If you want to hang out here more, then consider subscribing. My socials are somewhere on this screen as well as in the description. Aussies, I believe, are in the channel info, or you could just wait till the next time they're in a video. See ya!